sort of worked. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rule Hard Garage. We are kicking off a part of this channel that I'm super excited about, and that is Cb700 motorcycle build. Motorcycle builds in general are one of the things that I really want to incorporate into this channel. I feel like building them on this channel is something that's going to motivate me to be able to push through and to get a lot more stuff done. So when I bought this bike last year, just like any used bike that you buy, I inherited a whole bunch of different problems with it. I'm going to kind of go over some of the solutions that I came up with, some of the things that I did to this last year, because I did make a couple of modifications, and I think it's only fair that I include some of those things because the bike isn't totally 100% stock. So the first thing that I did, well, not the first thing, but one of the things that I did that we're going to start with here is I modified the air box, one of the modifications that I made. So there's an Uni air filter. If you get over here and look at the snorkel here. I put an Uni air filter in here. The old one was crap. The stock one was crap. There was a snorkel that was here. I actually took it and I cut the snorkel off to give it a little bit more airflow. That's one of the modifications that I made. So I actually had to take the entire air box off, which you have to take the back tire off on this bike. It was a pain in the ass. Take the air box off, clean the air box out, get all the oil out, and I just decided to just eliminate the crank vent, which is part of what led to me modifying the air box. So if you come over here, an air filter from O'Reilly's, and then I attached a hose that runs all the way down and attaches to the amount of power this bike makes. This thing makes like 86 to 90 horsepower based on where you get your information from, out of an air-cooled engine, so it's nice and simple. The power is nice and high up, nice and sporty, peaky power. Plenty of power to pull both of us around and to haul all of our camping gear and to get us where we need to go. So in my opinion, this is the perfect machine for a daily rider that's going to be reliable, it's going to be comfortable and fun and cool while we do it.
Check.
Check it off the list. We bought it after I wrecked my Sportster. We
did a flip-flop gymnastics shit on a Sportster. Just show them, because you're not even going to be able to imagine. Came in real hot, Travis.
I came in hot. So basically, long story short, I was at Mama Tried Show in Milwaukee. The bike that I built I actually raced the year before, so it was a flat track hooligan bike. It had no front brake. Sealed black top, no front brake, going too fast, could not stop, and
bad news, Bear.
Yeah, right into the curb.
Bad day.
So we're gonna put that clip right there. So
damn, you ripped your shoulder off, Dickard.
Wrong shoulder.
Oh. Slightly cockeyed dick.
Good as new. I got back on my feet and I was ready to get another bike again. This is the bike that I went with. The reason that I went with this bike, long story short again, I had one of these previously. I felt like I didn't do it justice because I chopped it up. I didn't really know what it was, and I always regretted it. So I always had in my head that this would make the perfect daily rider bike, and that's what I set out to prove with this build. So some of the features of this bike that really made it stand out to me as being a good daily rider that was going to accomplish everything for us.
A tour bus.
A tour bus. You see that over there.
For all the adventures. Was
first off that it has suspension. Unlike most of my bikes who either had no suspension or a mildly okay working suspension.
My tailbone thanks you.
Yes. So this is much more comfortable for
This is like riding on a Cadillac compared to what I'm used to. Usually no pegs, no back. Realistically, most of the time I don't have a proper seat. I have rolled up hoodies and sat on them before.
Yes, we've done all kinds of crazy stuff.
I'm too old for that now.
I don't know about too old for it. But this bike is definitely way more comfortable. This bike kind of blurs the lines between sport touring and the UJM. You know, I don't want to call it an adventure bike, but that's exactly what we use it for.
It's a shop venture bike.
Yeah, we go on adventures. We don't really go off-road much with it. I have taken it off-road.
He goes off-road with it.
I have taken it off-road. I don't need fancy suspension and tires and all skid plates and all sorts of shit to go off-road. And it's not like I'm doing hair scrambles on this thing or anything. The first thing we're going to start with is the maintenance on this bike that we have to get done to get us back on the road for next year. And obviously, the bike's been put away for a few months, so I don't really know what needs to be done. I don't really remember. Or we're gonna write a list on the board over here, and we're gonna time lapse us going through the bike and making a list of all the crap that we need to get. That way we can make sure we get the right parts and all of that. this is Lindsay's handwriting, not mine. I'm not allowed to touch this, and I actually realized that we forgot to put fork gaiters on here because that's one of the reasons that I think that my fork seals are leaking. But we're going to start from the top of this list. We're going to talk about all these things that we need to get done for the year. We're going to talk about the parts that we need, and then we're going to talk about some of the things that are like extra things that we want to do that we'll do if people are interested in it. Starting over here, the valve cover. This has been leaking since we got it last year. It wasn't bad enough that I thought I had to do anything with it, so I didn't do anything with it, but this year we're definitely going to. Starter, once again, let me get my flashlight out. Look back in there. Got a bunch of oil back in there, and I've actually changed this gasket 2 other times, and it's solved the issue, but it seems like every 1,000 miles or so the issue comes back and I have to change the seal again. Not sure why that keeps happening. I'm just gonna try to change it again, see what happens. If you know why that's happening, comment below, help me out. Forks, that's the next thing. I'm gonna skip over the clutch because there's a little bit of a story behind that. Forks, this is another thing that I worked on last year. I changed the fork seals, I put new oil in them, everything was good to go. But as you can see here, I've got a little diaper on here because she's been leaking. I don't know why that started again. My only guess is that maybe I had some bugs on here and it kind of damaged the seal. That's why it started leaking. So I'm actually going to have Lindsay add fork gaiters to this list because I think gaiters would look cool, and then they're also going to help me protect the from getting bugs and dirt and stuff on there that's going to end up damaging the seal again. And then actually, not only are we just going to do the forks, we're probably going to change the springs in them, because I don't know if you can see here, but there's actually some cupping on this front tire. Part of that has to do with, you know, riding hard and braking hard into corners, and doing a lot of trail braking causes that. But the suspension should be able to handle it, and I don't think it's doing a very good job. It still feels really soft. So I think springs, new oil, new seals are in order to get this thing too legit to quit for next year. The brakes, I bought the brakes last year, but I didn't put them on because I didn't need them. Rear tire, the rear tire is obviously old and a piece of crap, so that needs to be changed out so that it can match the front tire, and then it'll be good to go. So like I said, there's a little bit of a story about the clutch. When I bought the bike, that is actually what was wrong with it. It had a slipping clutch. Everything else on the bike was good. I didn't hesitate to just rip everything apart, put everything back together. I got the clutch fixed, carbs done, got everything back together. Clutch slips just as bad as before I put the new parts in the clutch. So as you can imagine, I was pretty disappointed. After screwing around for about a day, I actually discovered that this perch right here was actually holding the clutch slightly depressed like that, and that's what was causing my slipping. So I took it apart, I did some filing, and you know, now it's nice and loose in there and it's not holding it shut, but now you can see how far out it is, makes it hard for me to grip. So this is one of those parts that needs to be changed. Take it out, ride it, everything is good to go. You get up about 100 miles an hour into the power, or if you had 2 people on the bike and you're going up a grade or something, it would slip a little bit. I took it to Pennsylvania in the Allegheny Mountains, and I was having some trouble slipping there. So I knew that there was something still wasn't quite right with the clutch. I knew that I had solved the main issue. One day I decided I was going to pull it apart, and I was going to inspect the springs that I purchased and had put in. This is a spring that was never installed. It came with the kit. It was an extra. This is a spring that I took out after about 3,000 miles. So as you see there, this one is slightly squished compared to this one. And I kind of suspected that maybe there was something going on with these springs. So I took the stock springs that I took out, thankfully, threw those back in, boom, problem solved. So for 3,000 miles, all these new clutch parts that I put in were pretty much being heavily abused. And as the season went on and we capped about 4,000 miles, the clutch started slipping a little bit more because all the new components that we had in there were never treated the right way. They need to go all new plates, new fibers, new springs, bleed the clutch again, and just start from scratch with everything the way that it's supposed to be. And I think that will solve the problem finally, and we'll be able to do awesome wheelies. Because if you can't do wheelies on the bike, then why are you riding? The point of riding motorcycles. We got a parts list here. We're gonna have to pick some of this stuff up. Valve cover gasket, starter gaskets, all the different parts for the clutch. I'm going with all Barnett on everything that I can get here, just because I got burned once. I'm buying cheap shit from Amazon, and I'm not taking a chance of doing that again. I know Barnett provides good stuff. Clutch lever, I'm not really sure on the source of that, probably somewhere on eBay. And a fuse cover, so if you look here, this has got a broken fuse cover. I actually found some of these on eBay. Hopefully I can still find those and replace that. Mainly because I've actually popped a fuse by doing this. When the key's on, these fuses are exposed, and then my keys kind of hang down. I can't get to do it, there you go, right there. And I actually popped the fuse by letting my keys dangle there. The idea with this is just the maintenance that we're gonna do on the bike, getting it ready for the next year. There is some other stuff that I want to do on the bike, and based on the interest that we get on the channel, the people watching the video, if they want to see these types of things, we might segue and move into these things once we're done doing the maintenance on it. Cargo bags. This is a stainless tubing that I bent and made these mounts and stuff for. It works really good as a cargo rack, but the idea of it was to actually be able to mount Apache bags here, which are a Harbor Freight ripoff, or a Pelican ripoff from Harbor Freight. Those are gonna mount here, and then maybe one here on top. Also, exhaust. This exhaust is just wimpy sounding, and I just can't get over how much of a sissy bike it sounds. Sounds like a sewing machine. The intake is far louder than what the mufflers are on this thing. And these bikes sound badass with an exhaust. So I actually wanted to kind of do something. I'd probably leave these stock header pipes and probably cut back here, do some mufflers. I don't know, something. Might actually cut it further forward and build like a 4-in-1 collector or something like that. The wheels, painting the wheels. If you're into these bikes, you know the 84, 85 came with these wheels. They've got the chrome lip around them, and it kind of makes them look small. And they're 16-inch wheels anyways, and they look goofy as hell. The 86s came with black wheels from the factory, and they look badass. Last but not least, windscreen modification. First off, this thing is cracked all over the place. It's cracked there. It's missing a chunk here. Whoever had it before like tried to paint it and got shit all over it. It just looks like crap. It's generally just a piece of crap. I will say it works super good, but this one's cracked, and buying a replacement for it is probably just too expensive. So I plan on either making something out of fiberglass, making my own, or just going completely naked with it and just doing a round headlight. And I would have to get rid of all this wiring and stuff and move it to a different location. So there is some custom stuff that I want to do on this bike. If people are interested in it, I will move into that. But first and foremost is getting the maintenance done so we can get this thing back on the road next year. So that concludes this week's video. If you like this video, do not forget to subscribe. Hit the bell so you get notified of all the videos that we post. If you want to keep up on the other stuff that we're doing throughout the week, you can check out my Instagram at rule_hard. You can also check us out on Facebook at rulehardmedia. You can check out her Instagram.
It's really our Instagram, Lindsay and Dick.
What's up, everybody?
Wish.
Which of everybody builds? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rule Hard Garage. Welcome back to Rule Hard Garage. Garage. Okay.